I heard breathing at night, but I live alone. I was lying in bed, minding my own existential dread when I heard it. Breathing, not mine, not my neighbor's. It wasn't the slightly haunted ceiling fan that wheezes like it's paying rent in trauma. This was different, low, raspy, like something that's been alive too long, or like me on a Monday morning before coffee. I know some people might read this story and think, oh, this person's drunk. Maybe they had a little bit too much to drink and they're just hearing things. But this is exactly why I write these stories down while they're rehappening, so I can look back later and be like, ah, yes, here's the time I thought I was being murdered by a demon. Yes, here's the time I tried to call an exorcist because I was lonely. Yes, here's the time I bought an Ouija board and accidentally summoned Satan. Anyway, I sat up, listened, silence, classic horror move. But instead of calling for help or grabbing a bat, I did the mature, rational thing. I froze in a T-pose and hoped whatever it was respected emotional boundaries. Then it happened again. HHHHRRRRHH ... slow human-ish, coming from somewhere near my closet. Now I'd like to say I bravely walked over and checked. Instead, I grabbed my phone and Googled, signs, your closet is possessed but rent-controlled, no clear answers. Just a BuzzFeed quiz on what kind of demon are you? I got emotionally exhausted cryptid, which felt valid, so I tiptoed toward the closet like a Victorian child ghost. Each step a mental negotiation. If I die now, at least I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I reached the door. My heart was doing an offbeat rave. My left eye twitched. I whispered, please don't be a raccoon in a hoodie. I flung the door open. Nothing, just coats, old shoes, my dignity buried behind a broken vacuum. But then I heard it again. Behind me, kept breathing right behind me. I turned, it was my laptop. Open, playing a YouTube playlist I forgot to close. Sleep sounds deep male breathing, and just like that, the blood rushed back into my brain. I stared at the laptop screen, dumbfounded. It took me a solid 5 seconds to register that this was, in fact, not a demon haunting me, but just me forgetting I had left the video on. I stood there for a few moments, debating whether or not to continue letting the video play. But then common sense kicked in, and I shut it off. This whole story would have been very different if our protagonist did unstop and actually investigate what was going on, because, come on, we all get a little bit paranoid sometimes, and I feel like this story could have gone one of two ways. Option A, our protagonist decides she doesn't want to be bothered, pulls the covers over her head and tries to sleep. In the middle of the night, the demon seeps out of the closet, slithers onto the bed, and begins whispering terrible secrets about the protagonist to her directly in her ear. She will never be able to sleep again and has to move out of her apartment and become a hermit, living in the woods with only her cat for company. Or option B, the protagonist stops the breathing, gets rid of the laptop, puts on her big girl panties, and does something else to distract herself, like reading a book or maybe masturbating. Sleep comes easy, and she wakes up the next morning feeling refreshed and ready to take on the world. I'm definitely team option A myself. A good haunting is always preferable to a boring one anyway. Let's check out the comments. See what people had to say? Well, this comment almost made me change my mind about which option I wanted. From Another Round 999, when you Google signs, your closet is possessed but rent-controlled. The top search results should be called Ghostbusters. They handle that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I think if I were this person, I'd probably just call the Ghostbusters instead of relying on the internet for advice. Although, to be fair, even Ghostbusters takes a while to respond to your calls. They're really busy, always busting ghosts. From Rocco Coco, ah yes, the emotionally exhausted cryptid, we are everywhere, sometimes hiding under bridges, sometimes in the corner of your closet. From the username Lannister Lionheart, next time try headphones and white noise. If it is a ghost, they'll leave you alone. Ghosts hate loud noises. Fun fact, I learned that the hard way. I used to work security at a psychiatric hospital, and one of the patients was convinced his cell was haunted. He said he kept hearing chains dragging metal moans in the middle of the night. One day, I was working the night shift, heard the chains dragging, looked around, found the source of the sound. It was coming from the old air conditioning unit. Outside, turns out the whole wing was haunted, though. There was a guy who died in there years ago, hung himself while waiting to be discharged. Since then, staff called it the Hotel California. And finally, from a username Wow Wolfie, the sad male breathing assum video has honestly been on my mind all day. I love that. Yeah, if I ever hear something weird in the middle of the night, that's going to be the first thing I try. Just Googling what kind of monster is haunting me, only to find out it was my own damn fault. Well, folks, that is the end of today's Reddit stories. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you stay away from closets.